Good Tuesday morning, June 1st. My, how the time flies.
Yes.
You and I were together a year ago.
Here we go, right here.
Right after the riots.
Remember,
Oh.
peaceful protests.
Oh, right. Really? When all those police officers were injured and people just looted anything they wanted, helped themselves.
And hurt and destroyed a lot of cops, too.
Well, this morning, CPD, by the way, ends their anti-looting deployment. So basically, I don't know if you've been downtown lately, but on every street corner, there's a cop car with his sirens flashing.
Yeah.
Not the sirens roaring, but the lights flashing, excuse me. They've pulled that starting today because we had such a successful Memorial Day weekend, only 3 killed and 32 shot. So now they're drawing back on that program, as well as they're cutting the 12-hour work days. Because you were supposed to, for the next 3 weeks, no days off, 12-hour shifts. And now they're letting them go back to their regular shifts and 2 days off. Isn't that nice?
Oh, that's so good.
Mayor
so
Lightfoot,
nice.
well, she goes and takes a vacation. They get to work. And
Right. But they'll be back for the summer because the summer's going to be blood. There will be blood. It's going to be a dark summer, a dark and cold summer.
Oh,
I'm telling you, I hate to say it, but I'm so glad I don't live in Chicago.
Oh, you just said it. So now, all right, I mentioned earlier, we have a surprise announcement.
Yes.
And guess what the surprise is?
What is it?
I'm not telling you. And we do this every year. Well, let's welcome our guest, Mark Vargas, host of Mark My Words on AM 560 Sunday evenings from 7 to 9 p.m. And he also he's the host of the ongoing series of events at Judson University known as Conversations with Mark Vargas. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Good. And we'd also like to welcome to the program Dr. Gene Crume, president of Judson University. Good morning, doctor. How are you?
Hey, Amy. Good morning to you. Good morning, John.
Good morning, sir.
Yes. So we've been following this, ongoing series of events at Judson University for years now. And who wants to make the announcement of who the guest speaker is on your event July 9th? Mark or Dr. Gene?
Well, this is Gene. I'll kind of set it up and then hand it over to Mark because of his leadership in our board. But Amy, as you know, you and Dan have been gracious to host me on the program several times announcing World Leaders Forum speakers. Judson has a separate 501c3 called the World Leaders Forum where we bring in interesting speakers, not everybody of the same ilk or mindset or perspective, because as a faith-based liberal arts college, we want to expose our students and our community to a wide range of thought and empower people to use their own agency to think about issues and make their own decisions rather than have people try to command them in terms of what to think and how to think and when to think it. And so we want to help people be empowered to think for themselves. And as a part of that, we've been having the World Leaders Forum, which has brought in George W. Bush and Mikhail Gorbachev and Caroline Kennedy and Howard Dean and Newt Gingrich and Condoleezza Rice. It's been a remarkable series of world leaders that have come in. We also added the Inspiration Series because we wanted to lift people up with inspiring stories. We had Mary Lou Retton come in and Nick Vujicic, who has an organization called Life Without Limbs. He was born without arms and legs. He's incredibly powerful. And then we created, thanks to Mark being one of our board members, Conversations with Mark Vargas to focus on business and entrepreneurship. And Mark hit it out of the park with the first one, and he brought in Mark Cuban, and he's got a great announcement in terms of helping kind of go in a different direction in terms of entrepreneurship, but a really compelling one. So I'll turn it over to Mark.
Yeah, no, this is exciting. So on July 9th, we're going to announce that we're relaunching the Conversation with Mark Vargas series, and we will have Hollywood actor Terrence Howard as my guest on July 9th at Judson University. You know, the world knows Terrence Howard as a actor who starred in some of the biggest movies and films and shows in Hollywood, but there's also another side to Terrence, an entrepreneurial side. And we're going to make a special announcement about a project that Terrence and I are working on, but it's going to be very exciting. July 9th at Herrick Chapel at Judson University, and tickets go on sale tomorrow mornings. You can go to judsonu.edu/WLF Conversations, or you can go to Eventbrite 2021 WLF Conversations.eventbrite.com.
Wow. And this event sells out every year, correct?
That's right.
So you better get it. Now, how did you, Mark, get Terrence? He's an A-list Hollywood star. How did you get him to come on, to partake in this event?
No, that's a great question. Well, very quietly, Terrence and I have been working on a special project together over the last few months. and we're going to talk about that during our appearance on July 9th. But, Terrence, he's doing this for free. He's coming out pro bono because all the funds, all the proceeds for my speaker series will fund entrepreneurship, diversity, and RISE program scholarships for students to attend Judson. And so Terrence is just a really kind guy, and he wanted to make sure that we raised the appropriate money for these student scholarships. And so he is coming out on his own dime.
Wow. Mark, I never knew that Terrence was an inventor. Is that part of what the surprise is that you don't want to leak just yet?
Or is it coming out that he's a Republican?
Right. Is he going to make a presidential announcement?
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, no, he is an inventor, and this is not a secret, but yeah, he has nearly 70 patents to his name.
Wow, I never knew
so
that.
There's a different side of Terrence Howard that most people don't know about. So we're going to pull some of that out, too, during this conversation series. So not only is it going to be an event from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock at Judson Tarrant Chapel, but we're going to have a VIP meet and greet where you can take a photo with Terrence. And don't worry, I'll be out of the frame, so you can. And then after that, we're going to have a private VIP reception and dinner with Terrence later that evening.
I'll be there.
It'll be a jam-packed afternoon and evening.
Where's the VIP dinner?
I'll be there.
We'll announce that as we get closer to the event.
Yeah. Dr. Gene, when it comes to what's happening in our world, COVID, how it's taken over, I've noticed some universities are mandating passports and vaccinations. What's Judson's? What are you guys going to do when it comes to that? As far as for the next school year, are you going to mandate vaccine passports?
No, we are not, John. We believe people's health decisions are their personal decisions and personal choices. And I remind people all the time is that as a university, we don't require vaccinations. Either the state of Illinois or the federal government may have some requirements, and then they also have religious and health exemptions to those as well, too. So we are not requiring them. I do believe that as we go along, it'll be interesting to see what the college athletic conferences do. It will not surprise me if they make it a requirement. And our traditional undergraduate, we're about 60% student athletes.
Yeah.
So that would mean that a large number of our student athletes would be required to get vaccinations if our conference and other conferences decide to go that route, but we're not requiring that.
Love your answer.
And then how have you handled this year? Have you had in-person learning, remote learning, hybrid? What's it been like?
Yeah, I mean, we had a great year. We were in person on campus with students living on campus, with the dining hall open, with athletic events taking place, at times with limited or no crowd. So we beefed up our video equipment so parents can watch their young people and their family members play their collegiate sports, as well as our DeMoss Center Arts and Performing Arts program. So we came back on campus last August. We had a fantastic school year given everything that took place, and we ended the year very successfully in campus on person, and that's our plan for coming back in the fall.
And do you require mask mandates, or what did you last year, and are you going to this upcoming year?
We haven't made a final decision on the fall, what that looks like. We did require masks in public hallways and bathrooms only, more to make people feel safe and comfortable, and then we allowed faculty to make decisions in their classroom depending on the class, because the mask mandate doesn't necessarily work in every classroom. If you have a studio that's different from a science lab, which is different than a public speaking class, which is different than a choir class. So it's really hard to mandate that per classroom, per classroom. And so we give our faculty the flexibility to determine what's best for their class.
When there's leadership, this is what happens. And, my son's looking for schools. I'm going to make sure he pays a visit to Judson
it's a beautiful
this coming
campus.
year, because, he's looking here to stay here in Illinois. And, I mean, with leadership like that, you can't help it.
Does he play a sport?
He plays basketball.
Okay.
Yeah. Mark.
We'd love to have you. We're still working on Amy's daughter for volleyball.
Oh, that's right. My sons both play volleyball.
No. Oh, wow.
Yep.
For sure.
Oh, no, it's okay. No, I coach girls volleyball, but yeah. If you need a coach too, let me know. No, I got to thicken up my resume a little bit before that. I got to get a varsity job.
Mark, speaking of the show, mark my words, I heard you yesterday. I saw that you had Andrew Giuliani, who's running for mayor in New York. how'd the show go yesterday?
No, it was a great show, and we've had a great lineup the first 2 weeks, so no pressure on week 3. We had Bernie Carrick, and Roger Stone, and John Cardillo this past week, former NYPD and political commentator, and Andrew Giuliani. Got a great lineup. Michael Reagan will be up next week
on
my show. Son of Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Dinesh D'Souza will be on my show next week, and so again, no pressure. I've got to keep the guests going. So it's just a continuation of conversations with Mark Vargas, I think, just on Sunday evening.
Well, good for you. And you always get the A-listers, that's for sure. Because I wanted you to explain, if you can, about your relationship with President Trump and how you got him to pardon Governor Rod Blagojevich.
Sure, yeah. It was a 2-year campaign, and I worked hand in glove with his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and it was just creating a groundswell of support from left and right and center. On the far left, we had Reverend Al Sharpton, Reverend Jesse Jackson, Van Jones, all of Cut 50, which included Kim Kardashian supporting Rod Blagojevich's commutation. We had on the far right the former NRA president, David Keene. We had, at that time, Anthony Scaramucci. We had Bernie Carrick, Rudy Giuliani, Judge Jeanine, Laura Ingraham, and everybody in between. And so really was remarkable, the groundswell of support that we had, that we're all talking to the president and urging him to communicate a sentence. Because 14 years just didn't make a lot of sense. Regardless if people were on either side of the aisle, 14 years just didn't make sense. When you think about the same judge sentenced a mafia hitman who admitted to killing 12 people, sentenced him to 11 years, and then turned around and sentenced the former Illinois governor 14 years. It was outrageous. And so, it was exciting to work closely with President Trump and his White House team. And it was a wild ride of the last 2 years, and it was incredible to go fly to Denver, pick him up from prison, and bring him home.
Wow. And are you still friends? Do you guys talk often?
He calls me probably 10 times a day. First, 7 days a week. First thing he does when he wakes up in the morning is he gives me a call. And, we've got a unique relationship, a unique friendship. And, he tells me all the time, "You're my guardian angel." And he said, you made my last 2 years go really fast because you gave me hope time. And when people had given up and said it was impossible, you said this, we can do it. And he said he put together the entire team. And Patty was unbelievable,
she's a fighter.
how she fought for her husband and wanted to see him returned home. And so now he's home and he's preparing for his youngest daughter's high school graduation. He missed Amy's graduations from 8th grade graduation and high school and college and graduate school. And so now he's really excited about experiencing for the first time as a parent his child's graduation.
And he's a different Blago. He's totally not the same guy that went into
prison
jail.
will change you. And you can realize when the left eats their own, that's what happens. All right, Mark Vargas, Dr. Gene Crume. Again, conversations with Mark Vargas taking place on July 9th at Judson University in Elgin. And again, Mark, where can we go online to get tickets, which begin tomorrow? Ticket sales begin tomorrow.
Tickets on stage. You can go to judsonu.edu/WLF Conversations, or you can go on Eventbrite at 2021 WLF Conversations.eventbrite.com.
All right. Thank you so much, Mark Vargas and Dr. Gene Crume, president of Judson University. And they both joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com for Progressives in our country use the indiscriminate rocket attacks of Hamas against Israeli citizens to accuse Israel of acts of terrorism and operating an apartheid state. Echoing those criticisms, pro-Palestinian extremists targeted Jews in Los Angeles, New York City, and elsewhere for violent attacks. Over the past year, media and Democratic leadership have repeatedly linked criticism of China to hate crimes against Asian Americans. Congress passed a bill this month focusing on such attacks, and Joe Biden gave a lengthy speech while signing it. Yet few, if any, media or Democratic voices made the same linkage between progressives' rhetoric on Israel and rising